Hi, welcome back to Wallflowers. So, just wanted to really say what was on my mind. Been having a lazy day with Mr. Wallflowers off work today. So we've had quite a slow morning, nice cooked breakfast and leisurely just browsing through our phones and doing bits of jobs around the house. So as I'm browsing through social media and a couple of videos from people I like to see on YouTube, over the last couple of days I've seen posts supposed to be accusing the unjibber-jabbed of not warning people not to get the jibber-jabber. And I've watched a couple of videos today by different people reading out these posts and statements. I think it's probably fake posts. I can't see people accusing people like myself or other people who refuse to get jibber-jabbered for not making our feelings clear. I personally have been very outspoken in the past on social media, quite a few years prior to C19 becoming relevant before the lockdowns. I already talked about the mark of the beast, whether we'd be chipped as human beings, whether we'd be vaccinated. I was already talking about that quite a few years before this situation arose. And gradually, as it was becoming more apparent that this situation was happening, that the jibber-jabber was going to be foisted upon people, manipulated into getting it, and the fear-mongering that if you didn't go for it, that at some point you would actually be dragged from your home and forced to have it. Many of us saw the videos from China where supposedly people were dragged out of their apartments and forced to be injected. And this was relayed to us as the British public and fostered fears in lots of people's minds that if they didn't willingly go and get the jibber-jabber, that they would eventually be dragged from their homes, from their employment, and it would be forced upon them. It went so far in the UK, at least. I don't know how it worked out in other countries, but carers here and nurses here were actually told if they didn't have it, they would lose their employment. Many carers locally to the town I live in who chose not to have it either were forced into leaving their employment or did actually in the end lose their jobs. They weren't re-employed after the fact when things are supposed to be back to normal. They've never had an apology. They've never been reinstated. You know, they were useful for the climax of the situation when people were really, really ill or given too much midazolam, depending on which way you look at it. But they were really useful in those explosive periods of time. But as soon as these laws come in that, you know, well, they were told it was law, it was actually instituted by their employers and those in that specific health region, telling nurses and carers if they didn't, they'd lose their employment. Many stuck to the guns, many left the position and took new jobs. Some were better off, they got better paid and better respected in different employments. Some people had severe mental health situations through it. Some people didn't cope well with it. Many different people lost their jobs. Many different reactions would have occurred through it. I voiced my opinions on social media I said at the time how I felt about people losing their jobs. I felt everybody has body autonomy. You have the choice whether you want to take experimental drugs or not. You know, if someone's saying you have to take this, if I think there's a danger to my body, if I think there's a risk to my body, or I just don't need it, I don't have to take it. Body autonomy, freedom of choice, we all have it. I've never fallen out, never insulted the intelligence of or offended any of my friends that actually did go ahead and have the jibber jabber. I have friends that had had 3 of them. They had injections, they went and got the boosters. We're in a time now where even the people that were really insultive to me called me a conspiracy theorist, called me a tin hatter, called me lots and lots of rude names and were quite offensive to me at the time. I stayed friends with them. I didn't delete them from my social media. I stayed friends. Some people deleted me because I stuck to my guns and I had my opinions, and I would not have a jibber jabber. I would not wear a mask. I did not want to test. I wouldn't do those things. I didn't play the game. Some of those people now have decided that they shouldn't have had them, that they agree that to some degree they've suffered because of having the jibber jabber. A lot of those people have decided if it happens again and they're offered more boosters or they're offered more injections, they won't be going ahead this time and doing it. Sometimes I'm quite shocked when I hear a close friend tell me that. Quite shocked, because they were so stuck to the guns, so rigid in their opinion that they had to have it. I understood some people may have had close loved ones in hospital or care facilities and would have been told at the time they couldn't go to see their loved ones if they hadn't been jibber jabbered. Totally understood that. Everybody has body autonomy, and if you feel the only way you can go and see your loved one is by taking an experimental drug, who am I to judge? Who am I to stop you seeing your loved one? But who is anyone else to impose to me that I have to take a risk with my life to take something that I don't wish to take? So, random thought really. In the early days, beginning stage of lockdown, I made a video about the instilling of wearing masks and whether they were going to issue exempt cards. I will put the video up at the end, and I hope some of you go along and watch that video. As I say, it was the beginning of lockdown, nice sunny day in the garden. I'd had Mr. Wallflowers home because he was on furlough, and my son was home living then, and we all spent a lot of lovely time together. But I'll share that video at the end and take a look at it for yourself. But my thoughts today are, I think it's fake. I don't think many people blame the unvaccinated for not speaking out, blame the unjibber jabbered for not speaking out, because a lot of us did, and a lot of us took a lot of criticism at the time. We took a lot of slander, we took a lot of insults, but we're still here today, and we're still standing by the judgment that we made then, that we're still glad we didn't have it. We're still glad we didn't go along with it. Some people may be sticking to the guns and saying they're glad they had it, and that's their freedom of choice. But I think it's a fake statement that the unjibber jabbered, the jibber jabbered are blaming the unjibber jabbered, if you get my drift. Okay, just some random thoughts really, and I just felt like jumping on and sharing that with you. Okay, thank you for joining me today, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.